Hey icons, so this week's video is going to be more of just a talking video. So if you guys don't like those type of videos where the person is just talking, you'll want to close out on this video and come back next week for next week's video. But for those of you that are okay with those style videos, we're going to be talking about how to build up that confidence to actually kickstart your business and get it going. This video idea came from one of our icons who commented on one of my videos. I'm trying to pull up the comment. But she commented on one of my videos requesting that I do a video just helping those of you to learn how to build up your confidence and become comfortable. What else did she say? And learn to empower each other. I won't read her entire comment even though it's on one of the videos, and I won't share her name because I didn't ask permission. But that's basically what this video is going to be about, because I've noticed some of you in the comments that say that you are looking to start your business but you just don't know how, or you don't think you're ready to, or you're just flat out afraid. So we'll go ahead and get right into discussing from the very moment when I started my business. So where do I even start? First, I want to say, for those of you that are afraid to start your business or just having doubts that you can do it even if you've already started, I just want to let you know I've been there. I know how it feels. I've experienced the same things you guys are experiencing. I'm no different. And I want to just share with you the things that I went through and how I got through it. I won't go into full detail of everything. For one, a lot of it is personal, and I'm not the type of person that really shares my personal life. My family and friends can tell you that. I live a private life. I'm very reserved, and I just learned to get through things on my own. And two, I promised myself I would never be one of those people on social media or on the internet in general crying. And that point in time in my life was a time that was tough, and to this day still makes me emotional just even thinking about it. So I don't want to go that far into it, but I'll go back to the moment that I decided to start a business and the things that I had to go through and how I got to the point where I was able to build up the confidence and say, okay, yes, I can do it and make it all happen. When I started my business, I was going through a tough time then. And I knew in that moment that that was the moment to start my business because I had nothing else. It was like my world was starting to crumble. And the one thing that would truly make me happy would be to have my business. Anyone that knows me knows that I've started businesses in the past, more so as like a side gig or hobby or anything like that, but it was never truly my business. So what I did was I started doing my research and my planning, and I started marketing, setting up the website, social media. I knew that I was keeping my name from the name I used when I had an online boutique. I was just going to continue on with that. I just need to register in the state of Florida. Like, I was doing all those things. I even attended trade shows and everything, like trying to find factories. So I was getting it all set up. And then like a month into all of that, it was like the excitement started wearing off and I started having doubts. And I started feeling like I couldn't do it. And I remember the one thought that kept coming to my mind was, who do you think you are to think that you can pull this off and run this business the way that you think you're about to do it? You don't even have the money for it. Because I had everything planned out except for the financial side of it. And I kept getting those doubts. But I had to find ways to push through it and motivate myself. I would remind myself some of the things that I've accomplished in life. And it's like, there's things I've accomplished in my life that people twice my age at the time hadn't even dreamed of doing. So it's like, if I can do that, I can do this too. I gotta get these thoughts out of my head and I gotta focus. So it was like, those doubts kept coming, of course, time and time, but I had to find ways to fight it. it was almost like the devil trying to convince me otherwise, but I knew this is what I wanted, so I had to clear those thoughts out of my head and get focused. Then there was one day I woke up like literally in tears, having this meltdown, because I had this dream that the moment that I got my business up and running and things were going well, that I was going to die. I don't know where that came from and why I felt that way, but it was so bad to the point that I had to take a couple days and take a step back from the business to really think if this was what I truly wanted. Because I want it, but I don't think I want to die over it. So I'm like, I don't know that I want this, and I felt like, okay, I need to just go get a job. I need to stop thinking I can do this. It was like every thought that you can think of come to mind, that trying to tell me that I couldn't do it. But you have to find ways to remind yourself that you can and you will do it. Just don't give up. Just when I thought, like, I finally passed that hurdle, and I didn't think things in my life could get worse, it did. And when I tell you I hit the lowest of the lowest point in my life, to the point where it was, I couldn't get out of bed. I remember there were mornings where it was like I had to force myself out of bed, literally roll on the floor and get up, because it was so hard for me to get up. I was so unmotivated. It was so much going on. I was just ready to give up on it all. It wasn't even just the business, just life in general. I was done. There was so much weighing on me at that time that the business was the last thing on my mind, because it was like I was drowning and all I had was me. I didn't have any help. And I think that's one of the things a lot of you feel, is like you don't have anyone backing you. You don't have anyone to motivate you. The only thing I can tell you is you have to have yourself. Like, you're going to be the only one to motivate you. And if I can be the one to help motivate you, I will. Because I know what it's like. At that time, it was like I had hit a dark place and I was alone in life. I had no one. I used to have my grandma that would call me all the time. She knew that I was going through things, but she didn't know how bad it was. And because she was sick, there was no way I can sit there and tell her everything. See, so there was no way that I can sit there and truly tell her everything that I was going through, just because she's already going through a lot too. But it's like I didn't even have to say a word. She knew it. And every call, she reminded me that everything would be okay. And she would always ask to make sure I was still trying to pursue my business and how things were going. And even though she didn't know what I was dealing with, it was like she felt it. So she would be my reminder that everything was okay and I can do it. That was about all the motivation I got outside of myself. So if I have to be that person for you, I will, because I know how much that helped me. Because that was always that reminder, like, to just keep going. Like, this lady is literally laying in her deathbed right now. She's in a hospital, and she's still reminding me that I'm okay, and I'll be okay, and I can do this. So, at that point, like, things still, it was like everything is just still falling apart. But I still kept trying. There was a point where I took maybe like 2 or 3 weeks off from like focusing on the business, because it was just hard for me to focus. It was like I couldn't do it. I told you it was hard for me to even get out of my bed. I wasn't even eating at that time. I had lost 15 pounds. I was so stressed out. That's why I try to explain to you guys, I'm no different than you. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. And that's literally why I sit here and record these videos, to help you guys to do it, because I did it. So I know if I can do it and I had no money, I know you guys can too. And there's a lot of people that comment on my videos telling me that I shouldn't be providing you guys this information and I shouldn't be helping you And the richest man in the world will never tell you how he's done it. But I'm not a selfish person, and I know what it was like to go through this. And I know my hustle is different from everybody else's. Just because what I've gone through, I don't want to be back in that place. So I always make sure to work as hard as I can to make sure I never get in a position that I was in once before. So for me to share this information to you guys is nothing to me, because I always have new ideas. But back to it. So at that point, like, I kept trying to find ways to motivate myself. And a couple of the things that I did, music, of course, is always a way to like clear your mind and get through things. I started listening to podcasts, which one of my favorite ones was Steve Harvey. I listened to his daily, every day. One of the biggest things that stuck out on his podcast, he talked about why stop in hell. And that was like music to my ears, because I was going through hell. But I knew what I wanted in the end. And it was like a reminder that you have to go through these things to get to where you want to be. Which I eventually learned that. Like, now I can look back at what I was going through and realize I had to go through that, because I would not appreciate what I have now had I not gone through those things. But that's beside the point. You go through what you go through for a reason. You won't understand it in that moment, but you'll understand it later. I listen to Steve Harvey all the time, and he tell you why stop at hell. I even made a vision board, and that's the center focus of my vision board. I was going through hell, but I wasn't about to stop now, because I knew what I wanted in the end, and I'm gonna get it. So regardless of what's thrown at me, I'm gonna do what I can to get through it, take it a step at a time, but I'm gonna get what I want, which was my business. So I listen to his podcast daily, which is very motivational. Even on YouTube, there's videos. He even has YouTube videos. I started reading too, so I read Think and Grow Rich. Everyone always recommends that book. I never understood why. And when you start reading that book, it tells you that there's a key point in there that every entrepreneur should know. And by the time you finish reading that book, you'll get it. Or most will. If you're a true entrepreneur, you will catch it. Some may catch it at the beginning of the book, you may catch it in the middle, you may catch it at the end. When I was reading that book, which by the way, I haven't finished it yet because my light bulb went off and I kind of stopped and went full force in the business, but I need to go back and finish it. So maybe like the first 5 chapters, I wasn't grasping it. It just kept telling me about these rich people in the world, that how they started from the bottom and worked their way up. Like, okay, great. Even like watching, what's the Will Smith movie? Pursuit of Happiness. I watched that a couple times during that time too, because that's how I felt. I wasn't homeless, but it was like I was just going through hell like that too. And it's like, you can't give up. And that was just like my reminder. So that's like kind of what that book was about too, in a sense. It was just explaining other people's stories. Once I got to about chapter 8 or 9, is when my light bulb went off and I got it. And I don't want to give it away, because I want you guys to read the book and truly grasp it for yourself. But after like watching Pursuit of Happiness for like the 10th time, and people know I'm not a movie person, I barely even watch TV. Only thing I watch is YouTube, but that movie I can watch it over and over again, no problem. And reading that book, I realized it was all state of mind. And I had to change my way of thinking in order to truly get to where I want to be. I realized that I was going through hell. And I didn't understand why I was going through hell. I continued to question that and question God's motives. Like, why am I going through this? What did I do to deserve this? Like, I feel like I've always tried to do good in life, and yet everything just keeps being thrown at me. But then I realized I had to change that thinking. These things are happening to me for a reason. I'm going through what I'm going through to get to where I want to be. And that's when I truly started to grow from there. Once I changed my state of mind by reading and listening to podcasts. And then I was just finding different hobbies of ways to distract me in times where I wasn't working. Because there would be days where I would be working, but it's like I couldn't focus because my mind was just running, thinking about other things that were going on. So I started YouTube. So that was one of my distractions. And I would go do a run for a day, like in the gym working out. I even had like a at-home workout plan. So like if I couldn't focus, I would work out at home. I found anything that I could to distract me, and I filled my schedule up from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, which I used to sleep like 3 hours. You can ask my family members. One of my aunts had a baby around that time, and she texted me one day and she's like, "You're up just as much as me, and I have a newborn baby." And I'm telling you, I didn't sleep because I would work day and night, and I would do other things just to distract myself because I couldn't sleep anyway. So I found a way to fill my schedule so I didn't have the time to sit down and think about what I was going through and the things I was dealing with and what was being thrown at me. It was just I had to focus on what I was doing. And that helped me a lot because it gave me less time sitting around. Which a lot of people now, they're always like, "You never have time for this, you can't do that." But to me, it's like you guys weren't there when I was going through those hard times. So yeah, I had to pick up all these things to distract myself because I didn't have anyone to lean on. So now this is my life and you have to take it for what it is, or I have to remove you. Which was another thing. I had to learn to remove the negativity out of my life, the people that were actually bringing me down and not helping me build. Which were a lot of people. I have very few people in my life now, which I'm perfectly okay with because I've realized I'm much happier now. And that's including family. Like, I don't care who you are. Family is family, but if you're tearing me down, it's a high and bye, and that's it. So it was just like a lot of changes in life that I had to make and I had to go through, and it wasn't easy to do, but it had to be done if this is what I wanted. And state of mind was the biggest thing. You have to change your state of mind. You're going to be your own motivation. You have to learn self-motivation. So that's how it gets to the point where once I learned those things, I also had to learn that I can't control what happens to me. I just have to learn how to react to it. So when things were happening, because trust me, it didn't end there. It was like I would take a step forward only to get pushed back 5. And the old me would react differently. I would get frustrated. I would be stressed out and things like that. But now, you throw something at me, it's like, okay, I'll deal with it a day at a time until it's settled. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to worry. I've learned to put everything in God's hands because He's always protected me and I've always been okay. And I learned that everything I've gone through, once I just prayed about it and left it in God's hands, and I look back on it. Sorry, I don't want to preach to you guys if you don't believe in God, but this is my personal experience. But once I left it in God's hands, everything was fine. But the moment I stressed about it, it's like things got worse. So I was able to get through those times with prayer, with changing my state of mind, with distracting myself with work to get through these times. Like truly a life-changing moment for me. But it all had to happen. And now that to this day, I can look back at what I was going through at that time. And I realized that if I didn't go through those things, I would not appreciate what I have right now. I tell you right now, I work day in and day out because I don't want to be back in that position. I know what it feels like. So people ask me, like, how am I so confident? And how am I comfortable sharing this information and not afraid of competition? First of all, I know what it feels like to be at the bottom now. The way I was raised, I didn't understand that because I didn't go through that. But I now had to go through that, so now I understand it. And it's humbled me. So now that I've become this humble person, I've learned to appreciate more of what I have. And now going through that, because it's something I didn't go through growing up, even if my parents went through it, I never knew it because they always took care of everything. So that was something I never had to experience. So now that I've experienced it, I can now see, okay, there's people going through that and worse. So I know how I felt in that situation. I wouldn't wish it on anybody else. So if there's anyone going through that situation or worse than me, I'm going to do everything I can to help them. Even if that means sitting here recording a video, just giving them advice. If it's going to help, I will help. I'm not afraid of competition because I know business changes every day. And as long as I keep up with the business and I stay fresh and come with new ideas, new business plans, make major moves, I'll be okay. I'm not afraid to lose anything anymore because I got to a point where I lost it all and I bounced back just fine. So even if that happened again, I now know how to react to it, because I did it the opposite way before, where I was reacting the wrong way, where I stressed myself out, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I won't go back to that place again because I know what it felt like. So I'm not worried about competition. I'm not worried about helping people, because the one thing that I would have killed for in that time was for somebody to just help me. Even like I wasn't looking for money or anything, but for somebody just to push me, to guide me. Like the only thing I had was my grandmother that would tell me everything was okay. So for me, I'm okay helping people. I'll be that shoulder to lean on for people because I know I didn't have it. So if I could do it for somebody else, I will. The thing that I used to at that time was, I don't know if people believe in this, but angel numbers. It's like when you see 1111 multiple times, you may see it on an address, a license plate, on the clock, wherever. Those numbers have meanings. And I started seeing these numbers repetitively, like 333. I would see 444, 808. And I started looking more into those numbers, which that I won't go in depth in on this video because you can go so deep into that. But those have meanings, and it was like my reminder that my angels were there and they were protecting me, and everything that I was doing and everything I was going through was meant to be. So I just had to get through it. So I started looking into that stuff and like learning about that, understanding that. But it was just little things. You have to find what helps for you. Everyone's life is different and everyone's going through different things. So everything that I've done may not help you exactly, but it may give you ideas to push you in the right direction. Hopefully I was able to help some of you guys and motivate you. Even if I have to create a group where we can motivate each other to keep going, because trust me, I hit rough times still too when it comes to this business. It's up and down. Right now it's mostly up for me, but there's still some points where things happen and you just gotta get through it. But if I can help you, or if anyone else and my subscribers, any of you icons can help one another, that's all you need, is that push, and then everything else is on you. You are your own worst enemy. Like, you have to fight your own demons to get through what you're going through, and then other people can help you. But until you are ready to help yourself, others can't help you. If you guys like this style video and want more videos like this as far as inspiration and helping you guys out and helping you build up that confidence to get your business going, definitely give this video a thumbs up, because I will record more. Just let me know what struggles you guys are going through in the comments, and I'll touch base on them because I'm sure I've been there too. Thank you for watching.